Ramen Studios. We're back. We're freaking back. How am I in frame right now?
You look great. You look like your
Bless.
usual self.
All right, folks. Oh, I'm literally hosting guests. We got a living room full of people. I hope they come in and join us.
I hope so too.
We have Shakira Barrera. She's a studio janitor. She might pop in and say hi. I hope so. It'd be nice to have some sort of Latinx representation in the room.
For sure, for real.
Because we're hip hop. No, but dude, I wanted to talk about because I spent the last 48 hours looking up all this shit about the Havana Nocturne and the corporation, right? Yeah. And to catch you all up.
Yeah.
I'm Ricky grew up in Union City, and I'm Cuban, grew up right by Union City, and there's this big period piece spread across several articles and different conversations, but it was specific to the anti-Castro Cubans, which I mean, who the fuck isn't? Except my father, maybe. He ruined a couple of dinners in Christmas. And how those organizations would almost kind of move like the mob. Mm-hmm. And then they'd even act as terrorist organizations within northern New Jersey, New York City, of course, Miami, Tampa even. And it stretches as far back as the 50s.
Yeah, like started in the 50s, and then like it really, really made noise was in the late 70s.
And they explain how they had the chokehold on the bolita, that very dominantly Latin illegal lottery that existed around East Coast metropolises across the coast, especially New York City, and then they're mixed with like the Italian mob, and then where I started to rattle, bro, was that I did not realize if you were like a Bay of Pigs,
so I'm gonna get on that, but go on,
soldier. You now had this connection to the CIA that kind of made a lot of these people immune to move with mob, to fuck with the lottery, to launder money the way they did.
Yeah. So that's
literal like immunity, like literal, because they would then be assigned to do any sort of anti-Castro.
Well, that's kind of like, you know, in the story that I'm writing about Havana on the Hudson. That's
yours is going to be a documentary piece. It's not going to film
not even
movie.
No, I want to make it like
a
a limited show. Like think of like the HBO limited series show.
So not a doc.
No.
I thought you were going to Billy Corbin this thing.
No Billy Corbin.
I have no way.
Yeah, no Billy Corbin.
Dude, me and a wife beater, I could be one of these guys.
You actually could.
All right. Well,
that's really crazy though. You actually could.
I mean,
but that's like the point that I'm trying to like
with the
hone in on is that despite them blowing up pharmacies, doing like the middle of the day, just like bombing of streets.
It was a lot of the bodega bolita, the bodegas that ran bolita that were against whatever organization, because then it became warfare amongst.
Yeah, I think pharmacies got bombed because pharmacies were sending money to Cuba, so they were like, no, don't get money, don't send stuff to Cuba
because the government's taking it anyway.
Exactly.
So if you're doing it, I don't care what you think you're doing. You're not doing with the government.
Exactly, and that was the Omega 7 was the group at the time. Omega 7.
So bananas.
Omega 7 was the one running everything at the time. So basically, they were like the subset of like the Cuban mafia portion. Whatever, but there were all these guys that were in Omega 7 were all part of Bay of Pigs. So then that's the real like interesting thing is that despite them doing all these things, and they used to call the local newspapers and be like, we set off that bomb, Omega 7, like, and hang up, click.
They wanted to get back to Castro.
Yeah, but they never got arrested. They didn't get arrested until like I think something in Miami happened, and that's why like one of them got caught.
Yeah, what was it that they did that was so... It was the series of bombings that happened over 8 months.
Yeah.
That got so violent, that's when, big law enforcement are getting involved. But, dude, I am intoxicated with this now.
It's a crazy story, bro. I've been reading about this for like
we have to try to talk to
years.
Joey Diaz on this.
I would love
I literally met him a few times. I was thinking, because I had literally a 30-minute session, like Zoom session with Lee Sayet, who produced Joey Diaz podcast, the Church of What's Happening Now Forever. And Joey is like probably the hardest guy to mic ever because he'll go real mellow and talk about some shit. And then he'll be like, cocksucking mother. So he was telling me about all these nuances. But I think I might just try to do another paid Skype with him.
That'd be fire.
Also, even update my tuning on the audio and blah, blah, but talk to him like, hey, Joey's met me. Joey knows me. He knows I'm from the town. Yeah. If he's interested, and we'll go to Jersey. We'll go to him.
And you're Cuban, so you're like you're one of the people.
No, dude, I think he'd love the conversation unless it's run down, like because he's probably been entertained with this idea.
Sure, yeah.
And you know what? He can even update us on what kind of projects about this could be happening or tried.
So there's one I know already that was this was years ago when I read it. So Leonardo DiCaprio's production company bought the rights to a book. I think it was it might have been the corporation or maybe Havana Nocturne. Yeah.
Wowzers.
Basically,
There's 2 books about this, Havana Nocturne and The Corporation, and both written by T.J. English.
T.J. English, yeah. Basically, Benicio del Toro playing Jose Miguel Battle, who's the Cuban godfather, who's the main guy. Jose Miguel Battle was a connection to the 5 families in New York. He was the main guy running all the Bolita stuff, the Omega 7
Dude,
stuff.
I was listening to this Jose Battle stories.
Yeah, it's crazy.
About, and then Ernestico.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
These guys were like
drunk off of this narrative. Dog. It's fucking so crazy, and they're like real warriors. That guy Jose Battle talked about how they had to make an assassination attempt because someone killed someone in their organization. It took like 12 attempts, and on the 12th one, Jose said he's going to do it himself. And they found him living with some girl in South America, and he said they went in there, and it was a full-out war, and this guy Ernestico, the thing that happened with him is that he kind of came up from his community, and he was a little sharper than everyone else. So they pushed him into doing like finance or something like that. It didn't work out for him, and Ernestico resented that, and he resented it that how he just didn't make it in that field, and he lashed out violently and attacked other people. I don't know if it's accountants or finance people, right? So that's when he had to act on him, and that's why the attempts were made, right? And they said, even when he went back after that 12th assassination attempt, right, and Battle had to do it himself. He's like, I had to shoot him between the eyes in a closet of his own apartment. And he said, when I went back to these accountants or whatever, finance people, to tell them the story, he's like, I still fucking respect that guy. I took care of it. But he died fighting like a dog. Like, gun out, emptied the clip. These were fucking animals.
Animals, bro.
They would do loyalty jobs just to show balls.
Dude, there was a guy that was fucking there was a drive-by not too far from my house in Union City. So I grew up on 11th and Summit. There was a drive-by on like 10th between Summit and West.
What year?
This was 1970, I'll tell you right now. 1978, 79.
Oh wow.
Around there. But basically, yeah, 1979. They killed this guy, Elio Negrin. But basically, he was a guy of the community. Not that he was pro Castro, but he was like, hey, we should like make amends, or we should like connect, like we should like just make amends. Let's figure it out, whatever. And apparently, just Omega 7 wasn't happy about it. They basically got word that like he had gone to have a meeting with Castro's people, and they're like, nah, we're not having that. Broad daylight, his kid in the back seat, shot him up. Broad daylight.
These people have fucking balls.
Crazy. In the middle of the day, like middle of the morning in Union City. Like I have the notes right here.
I cannot relate to these Cubans. Right?
Shot 3 times in the head and twice in the chest with semi-automatic fired at 9:50 a.m. He was getting into his car parked on 711 10th Street.
Hour. These people are out of their minds.
And his 13-year-old son was sitting in the back seat when he got shot. And they called the Associated Press and said, and they claimed responsibility for the execution of this guy.
Me.
Literally, it was me. They would
shot
call
him in the cabbie. It
bro,
was me.
And no one got arrested for that. And I think probably years later, obviously, like when like America was like finally like, oh, you know what? Let's clamp down on this. Like 20 years too late, but sure, yeah. But yeah, man, they were out here just like not giving a fuck.
I was even listening to old culture, like these guys who some of them were in prison, and that word bugarron came out.
Oh, bugarron.
I thought that was a Dominican thing.
Yeah,
By the way, bugarron. And you know how I learned about this? I was working at Chart House in Weehawken, and I was like serving the banquet on the second floor, and they had a lot of these like.
Which it's not there anymore.
Dominican. Chart House?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Chart House is. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Houlihan's.
I didn't know that wasn't well.
Sorry, but go on.
Houlihan's is kind of an institution.
Yeah.
So. And there was a lot of Dominicans working in the second floor banquet department at the Chart House. And it was a lot of Dominicans because a few came in, and then they would bring in friends and cousins.
Yeah.
By the way, you're people. I mean, it's like all the Caribbean. People don't realize that even though a lot of them like go right to New York, they're not metropolitan people. These are campes. These are hillbillies.
Yeah. We're country. Yeah.
With like Nikes on.
We're
this dude was wearing a white blazer. At Chart House, white blazer, like busboy off to the side.
Yeah.
And this bad bitch went by with like a tight dress, and this kid grabbed his dick. He was like, "Mommy," and like walked toward her, and his cousin had to pull him off the floor. He's
crazy.
like, Josue or whatever his name was. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? these guys, I mean, they just had the horniest conversations of all time. But they would talk about bugarrón. And then one of them would talk about how he's like, oh, my nigga, when I go to DR, my neighbor is a man and a midget. He's like, he should come over and just give me head.
Oh,
and they don't
and
they don't consider themselves gay because they're receiving.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing in prison. Like these Cuban that we're talking about, these I don't know, refugees, whatever, who were in prison, or they convince themselves they're not gay by just like fucking dudes or getting head, but as long as they're not receiving, they weren't gay. And I was having this conversation with Alex, and I'm like, yo, in no world does masturbation get so tired that I just am okay with a man ass.
Yeah.
There is no planet, bro. So crazy.
A man ass.
And I swear to God, my whole life you hear about like even sexuality is spectrum, and that even deep down you might have gay tendencies. I've been introspective with myself. I've looked deep. There's not an inkling, and I'm a very feminine guy.
I was saying that. I know people that have been like, "Is Phil gay?" And I'm like, "No, he's not."
My whole life, because I throw my hands around, and because my eyelashes is denso intenso, holla at the biotin, you're stupid. And so I've got my whole life, and I swear to God, so it's like Andy Bernard in The Office, where he's just such a weak personality that someone accused him of being gay, and at some point he's like, "Am I gay?" But dude, not an inkling. And I would hear these stories, and I'm like, I can't fathom.
Yeah. I mean,
power to you.
I'm saying, yeah, we're not against it. No one's against it. But yeah, no, it's an interesting thing, man. It's us Dominicans are kind of crazy, and Cubans.
Dude, how awesome would it be if like you can't get pussy? It's like I would take one in the ass and get the same stimulation. Like that's awesome if you got it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I don't.
If you,
I got to hunker down and one pussy. There it is.
Speaking on the Havana and the Hudson stuff though too, even more crazy. There was a whole 60 Minutes episode in 1980. Where they went to Union City and they were like, "Hey, so have you guys heard about Omega 7?" And the Cuban people were like, "No, never heard of them." So that's the thing too, is like, while
it's regionally specific.
No, they were in Union City. Like they were in Union City asking them like, "Do you guys know?" And they were like, "No." Basically,
my father, I don't think would know.
That's what I'm saying.
And
every
like,
older Cuban that I know personally, like my friends' parents, I would ask them. They're like, "No, never heard of it." Right. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm sure they're aware that maybe there was a bombing or something, but they weren't aware that it was like this group doing it. To the point that like.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of coming out that like maybe people did know, but they just didn't want to say it, and they were just like protective of this group because they're like, you know what?
Not even protective. I think ashamed.
And maybe that, right? They're just
I think
like,
ashamed. They don't even want like the kids to know that someone in the same because we almost look at ourselves like our own race. So like one of ours is acting like this, terrorizing people, burning down businesses, illegal. So yeah, maybe
No, but then there's an argument that there was people that were supportive of it, right? Because it's against Castro, right? So for them, they were just like, oh, they're doing the job.
Radicals.
They're doing the job that we're not gonna do, right? We're not gonna bomb a store, but hey. So I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who did that.
It's like the Miami Cubans who believe that these millionaires with yachts in Miami are one day willing to collect their rifles and go do something.
Yeah.
They're
not
laying in their tax shelters with their
the
fourth mistress.
Exactly. And that's the thing too is it's Union City at the time was the second biggest Cuban population, second to Little Havana. In
Union
Miami.
City has blown my mind. I worked for like 1 year at this the Wells Fargo on 22nd and Bergen Line, and there's a retirement home next door. I didn't know at this age, I was 21, 20, that there's a massive Chinatown in Cuba, a massive Chinese community. And then I look historically, there's like big migrations from China, Turkey, all these other.
Everywhere.
And then this retirement home would get their checks, all get their Social Security checks at one time, and then they'd show up like a gang of them to cash their checks.
Yeah.
And this few Asian couples would come to my window. Also, ¿Cómo estamos, Felipe? ¿Quiere un cafecito hacer? And they're full Chinese people. Also, I'm like, Papito, ¿quiere un cafecito hacer? And I was just like, what? And also, I'm like hardly Cuban, so I'm like, buenas. No, I'm Cuban, but I always think, I'm like, I rep this shit, but I'm like, if I go to Cuba.
You're not Cuban.
Welcome. So
Buenos dias.
To them, I'm kind of like a white dude from New Jersey.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
But yeah, But that's why Union City at the time was called Havana on the Hudson, because it was
Yeah,
like,
no, that title, buying that article, whether
know.
that article had 4 sentences.
I know. It's funny, yo. So I actually spoke to the writer of that the article, the Village Voice article I sent you. That Village Voice article, I spoke to the writer like years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sure now it'll probably cost way more, which I'm more mad at myself about. And I'm like, motherfucker, because I think he was only charging me like 1,200, and that would be like the rights for the year. But again, at the
People are making
time,
content now way more than they were.
yeah, but the thing is, at the time, I don't have the connects to be like, let me pitch it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like now,
Right.
I could probably do it.
To even
but-
know the value of that rate.
Exactly. Yeah. But I definitely want to reach out to him again, or just figure out how to get the rights to one of these articles and just like make something off of it.
Sure.
Because the story's there, and it's crazy because there's been so many Cuban stories told and nothing about Omega 7. There was one movie, I forgot the name of it right now, but it's on Netflix, or it was on Netflix, and it was about Miami and Cuba or whatever, and they like brought up Omega 7 in it because it's based in the 80s or something like that. So it like pops up.
Anyone who's trying to put out content like this who doesn't attach themselves to Joey Diaz,
I mean, that's
you're
the thing.
dumb.
Too.
Because
Yeah,
that whole audience who cares about that subject,
it's Joey Diaz's audience.
2 million of them are with Joey.
Yeah. I mean, he lived through a lot of it, right? Like he talks
From
about
a
how
beautiful vantage point. TJ English, who wrote those books, was talking about, he's like, I wish I met Joey before I wrote these books.
100%.
Because Joey himself is a different book.
Yeah.
That veers off of, like, he kind of touches these subjects, but veers off into more personal, like, a narrative. Like, he's like,
personal narratives of these people.
Joey would have taken me somewhere else. He's like, if I met Joey a lot earlier, it probably would have been a different book.
That's crazy. That's
You want to get fucking back to these people?
Yeah. Let's not be rude.
Beautiful clip.
Yeah, awesome.
How old the kid?
Thank you, guys.
Grandma Naked Studios. You know what though?
What?
Do you at all? Are you interested at all to talk about how you're pursuing a grant to put this project together in case someone who wants to put it together?
I don't mind talking about it. Can I talk about it?
Talk about it. I feel like if somebody wants to put it together, it's like like letting somebody in the kitchen. Like,
No, for sure. Yeah. So I recently submitted myself for a grant. I'm not gonna say the one or whatever, but yeah, I submitted to a grant to hopefully get into this.
how'd you find the grant?
Through network.
Okay.
To people I knew.
All right, social media shit.
Yeah, she sent it to me. Shaq sent it
Okay.
to me. Yeah. A couple people sent it to me too.
All right.
So, but basically, it's like a producer's grant for like the year, and they basically try to mentor you and help you get your projects done. So they're like, you have 3 projects to pitch. I put in like What Has Luck for the feature. Cool. This other short that I'm doing that I wrote and I'm producing, and then this Havana on the Hudson, because again, this has been like my dream for like 7 years. Like, yo, if I could just get this.
I was hoping you still were on that subject because I never forgot about it, but I thought you set it aside.
No, I never said. I set it aside in the sense of like I can't even get like there's nothing I can do with this right now. I have the information.
It was a stock market pandemic.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
But the goal now is to get it into more people's faces and be like, here's the story. Because the story that I want to kind of tell about this time is that even us as like immigrant children, like there's a immigrant duality that we deal with, right? Are you American or are you Cuban, right? Or are you Cuban or are you American, right? Like, and that was the issue back then. It was like, are these people pro-Castro or anti-Castro?
Right.
And for the most part, everyone was kind of anti-Castro, but then you had your people that were like, no, but we still got to help the people in Cuba, so we have to kind of like support this and that. And then those people that are like, no, fuck Cuba, fuck Castro, fuck everything else.
Yeah. The general consensus is like miseria.
Yeah,
like,
right. It's
they're
just
just embarrassed. They're like, the people who are stuck there, they're fucked. And they know there's so much you can do, but the government will seize whatever it is anyway. And they're just like, but they're very selfish and just like, what can we do
so
for
the story that I
family?
want to tell is more just that, because I feel like we still deal with that today, right? Like, you come to this country, no matter where you're from, you're like, am I American or am I this thing, right? You either lose traditions or you keep traditions.
It's usually first generation Americans, though.
Yeah,
if you're an immigrant, you were born somewhere else, you really kind of own that thing.
For sure. And I think it's changed, though, because I've met people that have come from Ecuador, like everywhere, and they'll be like, yo, so many, like, nah. Like,
you know what the thing is, though?
Like,
there are
shit.
different, I think the Caribbean, the way we are impulsive, the Caribbean Latinos are different about their pride. I think there's something about the West Coast where American white culture reigns so superior
true, yeah.
that you've got so many, and specific Central and South Americans that moved to this West Coast
And they
and
just become-
rebranded
yeah,
as
yeah,
white
yeah,
Americans.
yeah,
How
yeah.
many Mexicans do you know out here that don't even
Bro,
speak Spanish? And their whole
bro,
vibe is
bro.
very Mexican.
Yep, and they don't even speak a word of Spanish.
I think there's a different culture on the West Coast that a lot of Mexicans, and not that they were ashamed, but that they adjusted their personality to things they saw that mirrored success, and it was
100%.
white American.
I
Sensibility.
I've worked with a bunch of them in my time here, and I'm
Their
like-
whole vibe
and I was like,
is
oh, shit.
Paco,
Yeah.
but they're like, I don't speak Spanish.
yeah. Their whole vibe is Paco, but their whole vibe is Paco, but they're John.
But they're fucking, yeah, dude. Brickleberry.
But yeah, but yeah. So Havana on the Hudson, you know, hey, if you wanna get in on it, let me know.
If I want to get in on Havana financially.
I mean, you let me know. You know, we'll talk about it after this.
Yeah, why don't you steer this podcast into a place where we can earn something and you can garnish my wages? Right? Back to work.
Oh man.
Wow, serious issues.
Oh my God, they said that
unfolding
Kanye
before
was
your
showing
eyes right
his wife's nudes at Adidas to staffers. That's coming out about him. First of all,
Oh yeah, I saw your story.
you can't count. When you're
Famous for the porno.
It's not even
the
nu-
images
it's not
are out
even
there.
nudes. Your blowjob is public property, so that can always like exist as a statement in a way, but not really. I don't know.
No, exactly. He's getting nowhere. A Google like
I believe it though. He was a guy who leaked nudes once. You don't remember Kanye leaked like a kind of
Whose?
dick pic?
oh no.
No, I remember that. It was like
Nah.
when fucking a bunch of
But
celebrities were doing
himself,
it.
so like whatever.
Yeah, but I think if you're that kind of person, then you're, I don't know.
What?
If you're that kind of person, you're probably showing that you're not sex icon. You're above royalty. The queen
Yeah.
didn't have to die.
So Balenciaga. So I saw that Kim had posted a video, and then I read the comments, and they were talking about, oh, is she gonna say something about it? I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Okay, so Balenciaga
Dropped.
did an ad with kids holding these little teddy bears in BDSM. Yeah, BDS or bondage. Have you
Kids?
seen? Look, pull it up.
Kids in what?
Pull it up. Do Balenciaga
Here we go.
ad bondage. Children ad bondage. Oh God, that is bad for your search history.
No, but not if it's a headline, a
Yeah.
massive headline. Under fire over ads with kids in bondage gear. Not when it's the first thing that's coming up on fucking Google.
Two little kids holding up
Yeah.
teddy bears by like ropes.
And obviously Balenciaga took it down because none of these images
and
are attached to a
the other thing is
Balenciaga
that
site.
They're like on leashes, so they're not just like hugging the bear.
Leashes? I mean, first of
They're
all,
like dangling.
white women have been putting kids on leashes for at least 8 years.
That's true. So that's actually normal. All right. No
That is very
canceling on
normal
that.
for Brooklyn moms. It's like being mad at you see kids on mushrooms. It's like Brooklyn moms have been taking mushrooms to tolerate their own children for a decade. I'm looking
Yeah.
at you, Park
Yeah,
Slope.
yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, I'm down with beating my children, so bondage is not really far off.
Yeah, I agree with a little hitting.
There's a tasteful. It's honestly the perception that you're
learning
down for
amount,
it.
yeah.
It's like they just gotta believe, and however you get that done.
Yeah.
And you don't do face because then they
No,
go to
no, no.
school, and then you know then
No,
you gotta
just
work on
don't
a
do
narrative
face,
with
'cause
them.
that's also disrespectful.
You want Smash? I played basketball with Gary today. He showed up in Crocs. That fucking idiot.
To
He
play?
forgot his sneakers because he forgot his sneakers. Because
Oh,
like
and he still kept driving.
in,
Oh,
ba-
because he didn't
in
realize. until he
basketball
stepped
culture,
out.
if you got basketball sneakers, you don't put them on until you get to the court, right? Because
Oh.
you're protecting the tread when you're
protecting
playing
the
outdoors.
tread from what? A little sidewalk as
No, no,
opposed
no.
to hard concrete stumps.
This is like a hardwood fucking class. This is hardwood floor indoor basketball court etiquette. But Gary
Okay.
utilized
Okay,
it
there we
on
go.
park.
yeah,
etiquette.
yeah. That's
And then he was stuck with
moronic.
Crocs in sport mode.
Get it together, Gary.